Join me as we break down the 10 clutch trades you need to make before week 7 of fantasy football. And this video is going to help no matter your record. If you are crushing it, we have some players to trade for now who have an amazing fantasy football playoff schedule. And if you're not doing so well, we have players to trade for as well that are cheap but have amazing potential. And since this is no BS fantasy football, we're going to start with my buy of the week. No, I'm not making you wait to the end of the video to hear my favorite player. Now, again, we do have some great guys to check out. You're going to want to see every single one, but we have to start with my favorite, Chase Brown. The first thing I want to point out, with Joe Flacco joining this team, he had his best yards per carry of the season, 4.7. And while Jamar Chase, he broke out. We had an amazing game from Jamar Chase. We had T. Higgins with one of his best games of the season, but Chase Brown, only 8.9 fantasy points. So that's someone you can buy low right now who's been extremely disappointing, but look at the schedule. So far, he's played some of the toughest matchups of the year. Cleveland, Jacksonville, Denver, Detroit, Green Bay, some of the toughest running back matchups, and it gets so much easier. We have Pittsburgh, the Jets, the Chicago Bears, then the fantasy football playoffs, Baltimore, Miami, Arizona. Chase Brown is a player you have to trade for now. You can't wait for him to have that first big week. As soon as he does, the trade value will skyrocket. So trade for him now and lock him into your team so you can win that championship. Another player to trade for right now is Zay Flowers. We look at the schedule. So far, he's played his toughest section of the season. It especially opens up in the fantasy football playoffs against Cincinnati, New England, and Green Bay. Some great matchups there. And the bye week makes him a little bit cheaper. Lamar Jackson coming back means he should return to form. This offense should be scoring way more points, have more plays, have more opportunities once Lamar is back at quarterback. Buy Zay Flowers while you can, because again, as soon as he has that first big game, he's going to be impossible to get for your team. As we get to our third player, Matthew Golden, if you guys are enjoying these breakdowns, analysis, looking at the schedules, hit that like and subscribe. It is a huge support to this channel, and it'll make sure you get this video every single week. For Matthew Golden, I look at him as a sell high opportunity because the potential breakout is why people are going to want to trade for him. And I'd combine him in some sort of trade where you combine him with another running back or wide receiver to get an even better starter for your team. Because look at these last few weeks, 10 points, 11 points, 13 points, which honestly isn't that bad, but they've been against some of the weakest possible matchups. Against Dallas, the worst team in the league against wide receivers. Against Cincinnati, one of the worst teams in the league against wide receivers. And we see week 15 in the fantasy football playoffs, he's going to start you off against Denver, one of the toughest possible matchups. And by that time, Christian Watson should be back. We also know Josh Jacobs is the touchdown scorer for this team. In this game, Matthew Golden only had 5 targets. Romeo Doubs had 9. So when you're not the top target, when you're not a red zone target, not scoring touchdowns, and you have some additional competition returning, now is the time to sell high after this big game and cash in on some value. Now, our fourth player, Jeudy, is for those of you with a bad record. This is why you want to subscribe to this channel, because we cover those with great records, bad records, helping everybody get towards that championship. There's still time. You guys can come back. Trading for a player like Jeudy, and so far this season, he's been pretty terrible. He should essentially be free. He's going to have such a low price in your league. But we see here he had 5 receptions, 43 yards on 13 targets. Dylan Gabriel's played 2 games in the NFL. Let's give the guy a little bit of a chance to develop. This team's throwing it 50 times per game. 13 of the targets go to Jeudy. If Dylan Gabriel and Jeudy can get on the same page as they develop over the course of the season, this could be a potential breakout candidate, and the schedule is not too bad, especially if you have a bad record. We see only 2 more difficult games in the regular season, against Miami next week and against San Francisco in week 13. So if you've got a bad record, you want someone with an easy regular season schedule to get you to the playoffs. And Jeudy, someone with this kind of volume, is someone I would definitely be trading for. It's worth the risk if you've got the bad record, because the price is so low, you could actually get someone that could break out and help you win some games. Let's get into another trade away, Rashad White. He's been awesome while he's had this whole backfield, but that Bucky Irving will return. We want to monitor and get an update on that injury before we send this trade. So maybe Tuesday or Wednesday, we'll get an update on Bucky Irving. But Rashad White, he's just not going to be that solid when Bucky comes back. Because even though he's been awesome, even though he's probably earned a little bit more rush share when Bucky Irving comes back, it's going to be a timeshare. It's going to be a split. You're not going to be able to trust him. In the weeks where he doesn't score a touchdown, he's going to be getting you 8 points, probably at a maximum. And we look at the schedule so far, it's not great in the fantasy football playoffs. They start off against Atlanta, the best team against running backs. They also play the Rams, they play the Patriots, they play the Lions. These are some pretty difficult games against running backs. So while he has some easy games in there, there's plenty of tough games. And when Bucky Irving comes back, his value will be extremely low. I'm calling last chance to trade for Derrick Henry. He's someone that I tried to trade away week after week after week, but now that he's on the bye week and the schedule's about to get real easy, he's someone you have to trade for now. If someone has Derrick Henry, they may be 2-4. They may have a terrible record. He had a great week 1. They might have won that week. And every other week since then, he's hurt your team. In week 6, it may not have been enough to get you a win. Now they head into the bye, but then they play Chicago. They play Miami. These are games where Derrick Henry should dominate. In this game, we finally found some good yards per carry, 5.1. And when Lamar Jackson is back against these easy teams, he should be dominating. Now, one thing to watch out for is the tough fantasy football playoff schedule. Week 15, easy against Cincinnati, but then play New England and Green Bay, who have been tougher against running backs. But I'm still going to trust Derrick Henry to get on that roll with some of these easy games and be amazing for us for the rest of the season. So now's your last chance to buy low. Now, I told you there was going to be some buy highs in this video, and Jaylen Waddle is one of them. With Tua Tagovailoa at quarterback, he's throwing interceptions. The Dolphins don't have the most possible upside, but Jaylen Waddle without Tyreek Hill does. Last week against Carolina, one of the toughest games against wide receivers, and this week against the Chargers, another very tough matchup. He's scoring some amazing fantasy points. He's catching the ball, he's getting good yardage, he's getting touchdowns, he's getting the target share. Everything we need to see for Jaylen Waddle to be a consistent option. When we head to the playoffs, they play the Steelers, they play Cincinnati, they play Tampa Bay. Those are 3 amazing matchups where the Dolphins should absolutely need to pass. So you're not only getting somebody that's been good against tough matchups, that has a great schedule, he's also going to be extremely consistent, which is exactly what you need to win a fantasy football championship. Another player I'd be trying to trade away is Alvin Kamara. Now, the reason why you can kind of sell high almost is so many people think he might get traded. And if he does, his value will definitely increase. But latest reports say he wants to stay on the Saints. He does not want to go anywhere else, and he may not be traded. Now, the playoff schedule is pretty good. Carolina, the Jets, and Tennessee. So not bad here, but we look at his upside, it's just extremely minimal. He's not getting that many rushing attempts, 10 rush attempts in this game. The receptions are solid, but even with 5 receptions in 45 receiving yards, he still only has 12.6 fantasy points. So the upside here, extremely limited. But with the news, he may be traded, you can sell him at an elevated price. We got another player I'm trying to sell high, Jameson Williams. Now, I was really excited about him at the start of the season, but he just hasn't been involved with David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, Amon-Ra St. Brown dominating the touches. Sam Laporta looking pretty good as well. He had 7 targets in this game, his second most of the season. He had 6 catches. That was his most of the season, and he had the touchdown. But Jahmyr Gibbs and Dave Montgomery underperformed in this game. Just wasn't a great game for the Lions overall. So Jameson Williams kind of stepped up with all the attention on Amon-Ra St. Brown, who also had a down game. He had great targets and receptions, but the yardage just wasn't good. So it's a little bit of an off game for the Lions overall, and Jameson Williams was the benefactor. He had the great game out of this, and we look at their schedule, it's really great, especially heading into the fantasy football playoffs. They play Dallas week 14 to get you into playoffs, then they play the Rams, then they play the Steelers, so some great matchups for the Lions, but you know Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's going to be the main guy. Jameson Williams, he's not going to be scoring that many touchdowns. He's only scored 2 so far this season. So with this 18-point performance, I try to trade him to the guy that has Jared Goff, to somebody that needs a wide receiver and cash in on this huge game. Another player I think you can almost buy low is Dallas Goedert, just because he doesn't carry the same name value or draft value as Trey McBride, Brock Bowers, George Kittle, but he's been amazing. In the red zone especially, the Eagles have been finding him scoring touchdowns. Over the last 4 weeks, he scored 5 touchdowns, and these plays are designed for him. So many of these plays, they're going to Dallas Goedert intentionally. It's not luck. The team is specifically designing touchdowns going to him, and these plays look pretty much unstoppable. Dallas Goedert, I think if you're willing to even pay up, if you've got a bad tight end, maybe you have some good players on the bench, send your tight end who's just all right and a player on the bench, try to get Dallas Goedert into your starting lineup. Those are your 10 clutch trades for week 7. No BS, no frills, just getting straight to the points with the detail and analysis. So hit that subscribe and that like to get this video every week. Drop any questions you have down below in the comments, and make sure you're subscribed again to get my top 10 defenses for week 7.